Hello everybody, today I'm going to be making a Deltarune Knight Candidates tier list. So everyone's been like fighting each other over like the Knight's identity for the past like couple years, so I figured, hey, why not throw my hat to the ring, huh? I mean, I'm probably gonna like get killed, but who cares, bro? So basically how this is gonna go is that we have 4 tiers here. First one is probably true TBH, meaning you're probably the Knight, it makes the most sense. Second, we have I'll allow it. You're probably not going to be the Knight, but it's a valid theory nonetheless. Third, we have don't count on it, meaning you're like almost 100% just not the Knight. Fourth, we have non-existence because some of the characters in this tier list straight up are not in the game. Don't know why they're here, but we're going to rank them nonetheless. Also, before we get into this, there will be spoilers for Chapter 5, so consider yourself warned. Also, why are you clicking on Deltarune theory videos if you haven't finished the game, you fool? Anyways, I'm going to be starting off pretty strong here. So, Amalga Knight theory, Crystal Knight theory. I'm not gonna lie, you guys had me fooled for like 2 days. But then I like thought about it for more than 2 seconds and I realized, wait a second. This is just Chris Knight 2.0. And look, I understand, okay? I was a Chris Knighter back in the day myself, okay? I understand, okay? And just like everyone else, when Chapter 3 came out, I was brutally humiliated and humbled. But guess what? I took the L and I moved on, bro. You guys are fighting a war that ended 20 years ago. Just let it go, okay? So if you don't know this theory, basically the theory goes that at the end of the Chapter 5 weird route, when Chris and Noelle presumably drowned in the lake, is that they actually somehow end up like in the depths or something, and then they like fuse together to become the Knight, and they time travel to the beginning of the game to do Knight stuff, and they've been manipulating the whole narrative behind the scenes or something like that, which is, yeah, sounds pretty cool. But once again, when you think about it for more than 2 seconds, the whole thing kind of falls apart. It's like, yeah, they did that, but like, so what? It's like, yeah, so like, yeah, they did that, but like, okay, what now? Why are they doing this, first of all? Like, why would a corrupted fusion of Chris and Noelle travel to the past to fulfill the prophecy? Why would they work with Carol? Why would Carol work with them? Why would Chris work with some weird, corrupted, future time-traveling version of themselves? Like I said, this theory sounds cool on paper, but like, when you think about it too much, it quickly falls apart. So because of that, I'm going to be putting that in the don't count on it tier. So next on the list we have Azrael. Now, I'll be honest, I tend to take this theory a bit more seriously than most of the fandom does. Like, most of the fandom, like, you'll be like laughed out the room if you even propose the idea of Azrael being the Knight. That's actually true for like most Knight candidates that are not Des, but whatever, I'm not touching that can of worms today. Anyway, I mean, Azrael, I think he would have a good motive for being the Knight. If the whole plan they have is to bring back Des, it would make sense, I guess. But like, the Knight has antlers. Goats do not have antlers. Yeah, actually the theory kind of falls apart once you think about it in that light. But like, hey, everything else adds up, so sure, you can go in the I'll allow it tier. Carol! Now, I'll be honest, I think Carol Knighters get just a little too much flack, okay? I mean, look, based on the information you're given in the game, I think believing that Carol is a Knight is a perfectly reasonable conclusion to reach, okay? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Do I think she's the Knight? No. I mean, unless she has like a Mario warp zone pipe that can take her from her kitchen into the church to make a dark fountain before Chris and Susie get there. I mean, yeah, maybe then she's a Knight, but unless that's the thing, which I assume there is, and I didn't see any green pipes anywhere in that house scene, so I'm gonna assume there is no conceivable way for her to get there unless she had like some kind of stasis chamber set up inside the church or something. So because of that, I don't think she's a Knight, but I'll allow it anyways. Next we have Kara. They are not a character in the game. I don't know why they're in this tier list. They're only in Undertale, so yeah, you don't exist. If you're gonna say Kara is the Knight, then you might as well say like Mario is the Knight or something, because I haven't seen Mario and the Knight in the same room. Wonder where's Mario in the game? Well, let me tell you, in a different franchise. Get out of here. So next we have Noelle. Now she does have like actual antlers, so that does give her just slightly more points than Azul. It's just that she kind of fails in like every other category because okay, Noelle technically could have like opened every fountain that the knight presumably opened, but like then you'd have to explain why her personality is like drastically different when she's the knight, why her appearance is like drastically different from the knights when she's in the chapter 2 dark world, her motive behind doing it, why she's straight up lying to everybody. Like you'd have a lot of explaining to do to justify this, unless you're going to suggest that maybe she's like a corrupted version of herself and she like, and the knight is actually like a Doom timeline version of herself and she time traveled. So wait a second, this is just a Malganite theory, and you know where I put that one. Get in there, Noelle. Now we have Death Knight. Now I will admit, I'm like 90% sold on Death Knight. I'm not gonna lie, she's probably the knight. But I'll be honest, Death Knighters are kind of annoying sometimes, so it makes me not really want to claim it. Now for all the Death Knighters out there, I'm kidding. Please don't murder my family. Now, I mean, Death presumably has antlers if we're going off her little outline she had in the flashback scene in chapter 3, so she has that going for her. It makes sense to narratively. It would just make a whole lot of sense if she was a knight, okay? Plus, it's like an epic Mother 3 reference, so. Now, a lot of anti-Death Knighters will be like, ho ho ho, well, if Death is a knight, hell, she in the code and the knight at the same time. Well, I mean, I thought they commonly like accepted the version of Death's Knight theory is that the knight isn't like literally just like Death putting on a suit of armor. It's like, hey, time to open up evil ass fountains. It's like probably more like the knight is like a corrupted version of herself, and then like the voice in the code is like her original consciousness, like maybe got like shattered across time and space or something. Yeah, there's not a lot of evidence for that, but I mean, I think it's a pretty reasonable explanation than like Death just randomly deciding to be evil one day and put on a suit of armor and like or farm on teenagers in her free time. So we're gonna put this in the probably true TBH. Actually, on second thoughts, I think I'm also gonna put Carol in the probably true TBH since I think they're both valid candidates. Next we have Image Friend. Image Friend is not the knight. Image Friend is a lot of things. Image Friend is not the knight. And don't count on it. Next we have Frisk Undertale. Keyword there. Frisk Undertale. This is not Undertale. You do not exist. Get out of here. Now that is unless you're a believer of the theory that Frisk is pre-scratch Chris. And if that sentence I just said made no sense to you, don't worry about it. If you know, you know. Next on the list, we have Gaster. Now look, I'm probably like the biggest Gaster fan in the fandom, but like, and he's behind a lot of the scenes in the game, but he's not the knight. Those are one of the things he just is not, so don't count on it. Next up on the list, we have Jockington. Now, I do want to put him in the probably true tier, just for the meme, but like, Jockington is not the knight. I'm sorry, he's just not. Now, if this was a tier of who's probably going to turn into a Garner and have a Freedom Big Shot Penumbra Phantasm moment, yeah, Jockington would be top tier, but he's not the knight, so yeah, don't count on it. Next, we have Chris. Now, like I said, I'm a former Chris Knighter myself, so it's gonna pay me to do this, but Chris was literally in the same room as the knight. It's kind of impossible for them to be the knight, unless the knight is like some kind of like future version of Chris that like time travel to the beginning of the game to. Damn it, this theory is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. Get in there, get out of here. So next on the list we have Papyrus. Now, this is kind of hilarious because the thing about Papyrus, right? You technically cannot disprove Papyrus Knight. I mean, there is not a whole lot of evidence against it. Well, there are the antlers, but like, let's just pretend those aren't there, okay? I'm biased. You technically cannot disprove Papyrus Knight, okay? I mean, the body's kind of shaped like Papyrus. Have you seen Papyrus anywhere? I haven't seen Papyrus anywhere. Maybe it's because he's busy doing night stuff. And also, before you all argue that like he doesn't exist in Deltarune, he's on Gaster's list, okay? He's probably in there somewhere. He's just shy, okay, man? We're putting him in the I'll allow it tier. Next up on the list, we have Rudy Knight. So, I haven't been entirely honest with you guys. Up until this point, this video has been nothing but a ruse, a distraction. I've tricked you all into watching a Rudy Night Theory, and let's go! Maintaining the agenda is top priority. Now look, Rudy Night Theorists and non-Rudy Night Theorists are like, alright, I'm very well aware this is a very bad idea, okay? I'm making a very terrible gamble here, because this man could literally drop dead the first 5 seconds of chapter 6, but I don't care, okay? We thought he was gonna die in chapter 5, but guess what? He's still alive and kicking. He's not kicking, but he's still alive, alright? But guess what? We don't sweat the details, because say it with me, maintain the agenda is top priority! Okay, I'm getting way too passionate about this. You know, maybe the real night where the friends be made along the way. Image. Friends.